welcome back to HR Stew. My name is Regina Dyerly.
And I'm Holly Nels.
And this is HR Stew.
Welcome back to HR Stew. Before we dive in, we want to take a moment to say a huge thank you to all of you, our listeners, for voting HR Stew as Colorado Biz's best business podcast in Colorado. Now let's dive into a topic that often leads to controversy in every workplace, PTO. Whether it's those colleagues who refuse to take time off, the coworker who logs into the all-staff from a beach bar, or the ever-growing debate about unlimited PTO, this is your time to stew. This is your time to stew with us about the wild world of time off. So take a seat and let's get into it. Let's start with a question. What is one unwritten rule you think everyone should follow when it comes to taking PTO?
I guess for me, it's don't fake vacation. If you're going to take vacation, actually take vacation. You know, don't be on vacation, but then answering emails like you're on call for NASA. I would say, and look, I'm not always perfect at this. And sometimes because of my position, there's a need for me to check in occasionally, right? Or if I'm providing coverage, whatever it is. However, I do know this January when I went to Iceland, I fully disconnected, and I will say I came back a different person.
Yeah. Really,
truly, no email. And the time of year helped, obviously, as well, right? I left Christmas Day, so it was a little bit of a slower time of year anyway. But I don't know, starting the year like that, I think was like a game changer for me. Like coming back refreshed, truly having 10 days offline was amazing. Highly recommend. Whether it's Iceland or not. I do recommend Iceland, but it could be anywhere.
I think you should, and maybe it's just a courtesy rule and an unwritten rule, check with your peers to see when they're planning their vacations too. Because if you're all taking time off at the same time during the summer, that's not going to be beneficial, for the team as a whole. But just consulting with everybody on your team, like what vacation plans do you have coming up so I can take vacation too? And not everybody does that.
I'd say probably very few people do that, right? Because you're also coordinating with family and dates. And when I'm trying to travel, if I have flexibility, I'm looking at what days can I fly that are the cheapest, the cheapest hotel, all sorts of things, because I love a good deal.
Yeah, I love a good deal too.
So we're going to hop into our segment for this podcast. This is just going to be a general FAQ. So the first part of this is going to be about etiquette. First question is, what is the biggest mistake people make when it comes to taking time off? And what is your biggest pet peeve?
I have a big pet peeve.
Okay.
People who take time off but don't share where they're at with a project or where they're at with a client or all of the client information, like all of those things that we need in order to be successful. So you don't have to come back to work with 1,000 emails, or not 1,000, that's exaggerating, but with 100 emails that have action items on the Monday you return. Leave a good to-do list on what projects you're working on, what needs to be followed up on, how to get into this system or that system for everybody else on the team.
I would say that's one of mine as well, is not having a coverage plan, period. Look, everybody deserves a vacation, and depending on your role, sometimes it's not your job to figure that out. That's true.
Right.
But a lot of roles, it is your job. There's no way for anybody else to know what's going on or what's, in our case, what's going on with a certain client or whatever. So yeah, for me, having a coverage plan and actually documenting it well so that people can actually give you a break, like you said, so you're not coming back to chaos. And people aren't in chaos while you're gone trying to figure things out.
Right.
And then I would say my other pet peeve is late notice about vacation.
Yeah.
Right? Like, so maybe it was approved in the system and maybe your manager approved it, but don't send out an alert, at 4 p.m. the day before that you're going to be out so that nobody can ask you any questions. It seems like by design, feeding into the other thing. A last pet peeve of mine is people, like sometimes when you go on vacation, other people need you to go on vacation as well.
Step away.
Right. And then they're still popping in on meetings. And you're like, I thought you were on vacation. Why are you here? We did all this prep to be prepared for you not being here. Why are you here?
Right.
I think that's also like not being able to give up control is another pet peeve.
That is a valid pet peeve. I think too, if someone has an out of office and it says, if you need assistance, please contact this person. And for whomever is emailing you, not to contact that particular person, so that they're able to follow up while you're out of the office, is another pet peeve of mine.
I have another pet peeve.
Okay, go.
And that's naming people to be your out of office contact and not telling them, because that actually happened to me.
I've never had that happen.
That happened to me. I was like, oh, I was not aware that I was the out of office contact for this person. Great.
So next question is, from an HR perspective, what would you say are the unspoken rules of taking PTO?
There's a lot. I think maybe one is, a lot of people will do on the regular, will do the half day PTO. And as a salaried employee, typically it's a little tricky. Just take a full day.
Yeah.
If you need a day, take a day. Now, occasionally you're taking a half day because there's actual work to do, right? And you're actually rearranging your schedule around work. But in a lot of cases, it's just that you're being cheap, right? Just take the day. I would say use your PTO. Don't hoard it. Actually use it. It's hard because I think sometimes you want to save it, in case of anything. But burnout happens. Like, it's there for a reason. And we see a lot of people being very burnt out right now.
Yeah. I think from an HR perspective, the unspoken rule is everything will be there when you get back. So thinking plus some, but so thinking that I can't take PTO, I have too much work to do, really take the time to step away, because you can be so much more productive once you return to work.
I'd say in the same vein, and I have worked at places like this. This is not one of them. But when there's a lot of guilt about taking PTO.
Yeah.
Right? Like, especially if things are busy, it's like you still need to take your PTO. And from a management of the business standpoint, it is a liability to have all that PTO on the books as well. It means that you should want people to take their PTO. Another thing is definitely talk to your manager, especially if you need to take time off during like high stake weeks, right? When things are very busy. Those are a lot of times like the summer, we're busy, but everybody wants to take vacation during the summer. And, we've never said no to date, to a PTO request, period. I know that day will come at some point, but right now we have not. But sometimes it is very challenging when we have multiple people out at the same time.
Yeah.
I would say just have a conversation.
The common courtesy aspect.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that provides a great transition to our next question, which is it better to hoard PTO or to be close to the negatives when it comes to PTO? Like, you're writing that line all the time.
I am a hoarder of PTO.
Yes, she is.
I have gotten better. I think I'm to 60 hours, but I am a hoarder of PTO. I always think, what if something happens? What if I get super sick and need to take 2 weeks off? I want to have PTO. I also think it depends on the state that you live in. So I have a friend that lives and works in Florida, and she always, as soon as she gets 40 hours, she's taking a week of vacation and is always close to zero. But her company doesn't pay out PTO and it's not required in the state of Florida. She's like, so if I leave, I'm just losing this benefit. So I'm going to enjoy my time and enjoy this time off.
That sounds like a smart way to manage that. I think it's all about balance, right? I think it's about having a little bit of PTO available in case of an emergency, in case you get sick and you just really don't want to have to drag your sorry butt to work, even if you're working remotely, because you don't want to get people sick.
Yeah.
But everybody needs to use this time, even if you do nothing.
Yeah.
Doing nothing is a luxury that most people don't get. Take advantage of it. And I would say good managers are going to normalize that.
Right.
Hey, it's time for you to take some time off.
Right. The job will still be here and other people can help out.
Right.
Yeah. Agreed.
All right. So this next part is going to be more about scheduling and policies. So the first question in there is going to be, when everyone wants to take time off at the same time, how do you determine who will get approved and who will get denied?
First come, first served is obviously the most common, but that is not always the most fair. Some people have multiple things they need to look into before they could schedule a vacation, right? Kids' schedules, spouses' schedules, other family schedules, their personal work schedule. That's how most places work. But again, it's not always the most fair. Some places use seniority. I know Walmart does.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Because I have a friend that has worked there for 23 years.
Yeah.
And because of her seniority, she gets all of her time, and she's frequently very unpopular.
Oh, wow.
It's been a few years since we had that conversation, but at least that's how it was. Like her seniority bumped everybody.
Oh, wow.
So, and she also gets 8 weeks of vacation because she's been there for 23 years, almost 8 weeks.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah.
That's why she stays.
Yeah. I like the first come, first serve versus seniority. However, I also am I'm a planner. So most of our trips we've planned out or I've had a discussion. So I like first come, first serve better than seniority because I don't want somebody coming in and putting in a vacation or a PTO request a week before I'm scheduled to leave. And here you bump me because this person's been there 23 years and I've been there for 2 years.
I don't know if it exactly works like that.
Okay. There are more parameters.
I think it's more about waiting for it to be approved. I think it's once it's approved.
Gotcha.
But you can't submit before a certain period of time. I don't know what it is. Let's say it's 6 weeks before, whatever it is. So it's like a race for people to get in.
How do you plan everything? I'd go nuts.
Listen, I don't know that I know enough to actually talk, but I know there's a reason why she always gets it. It's not like she's bumping people after their vacation is approved.
Okay.
I do know that.
Yeah.
I would say I know sometimes it's like weighing business impact. I know my husband works at a hospital. And for the holidays, they all have to pick a holiday that they work. So they all negotiate with each other about which holiday they're going to work. I think if you have a cohesive team, you could probably facilitate some of that.
Right.
Right.
We used to do that at a few employers ago. We had to be there on the holidays and we would all discuss which holiday do you want to work. And it worked out to, it was never mandatory for anybody to work outside of the holiday that they picked. So I think that's a really good option.
Yeah, that doesn't work at every place, though.
Really?
Because some people don't work well at others.
That's fair.
That's just the reality, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. In general, I think as a company, if someone's like planning their honeymoon and they need 2 weeks off, I think there's things that you could work around. So even if it's like shorter notice, that's usually not short notice.
Right.
But if someone's like requesting December 26th off on December 20th, I'd say you're SOL.
Yeah.
Like,
which reminds me, I need to request off December 26th.
All right. So completely changing topics when it comes to policies. What are your thoughts on unlimited PTO?
Regina, I'm going to let you answer this one because I know it's not your favorite.
I think it sounds good in theory, but I think it depends on the culture. If you have a healthy culture, then it could work. Otherwise, I think it turns into guilt-limited PTO. I think one of the things that had bothered me about unlimited PTO is you hear about a lot of people still working while they're on PTO. There's just so many issues with it. In some states, you still have to accrue.
Right.
Right? So you're not accruing. There's no payout. That's the secret reason a lot of people do it.
Because they don't want to pay out the PTO.
Correct. They're still denying people's unlimited PTO because it still has to go through an approval process.
Yeah.
Right? And now when you leave, there's wages technically that you're leaving on the table if you have not taken your time. I think it's tricky. I think at some companies it absolutely does work.
Right.
Right? But we had a situation with a client where one of their employees, and they were like a high-level employee at that company. They were not even pregnant, but they were planning on getting pregnant. And they were like fighting that their unlimited PTO should count for maternity leave. And the handbook wasn't entirely clear.
Right.
That's been firmed out since then. But to me, I thought that was outrageous. That's not the intention of it. That's a leave is different than PTO.
Yeah.
But I just think there's enough gray that some people are going to interpret it the way that they want to. And I just think I'm more of a concrete type of person. Tell me what I have. We have flexibility here, so we're able to work remotely. So if we need to take an extra week because we want to visit family, we'll work during the day and hang out with them at night.
Yeah.
Right, remotely.
Yeah.
Like we make it work.
I think you're right. One of the reasons that people want to try unlimited PTO is because it's not a liability on their books and they don't want to pay it out. And that's not the culture or environment I want to be in.
I think it could work really well in more project-based. Like we're service-based, right? So I think it's difficult for us because somebody else has to cover for the work, right?
Right.
In an environment where it just matters about the work getting done and there's not like a timeline, then it could probably work.
Right.
I think a lot of environments, it's not necessarily going to work. And it's always going to be unbalanced. Somebody's always going to take more and someone's always going to take less. And that's what they count on.
Yeah.
Right.
All right. So moving on to more new gen PTO, how things have changed. My first question is, how do you feel remote and hybrid working has affected the use of PTO overall?
I don't know that it's affected PTO per se. Definitely there's blurred lines. I have the most comfortable reading chair in my office. That was probably a huge mistake because now I bring my laptop to my reading chair, right? Like, so you're just checking in more in general. But as far as PTO, I'm not sure. Maybe because of the blurred lines, maybe you're checking in more when you're even on vacation because of that, because you're just so used to being connected all the time. Nights, dinners, weekends, it's right there. I don't know. What do you think, Holly?
I don't think I feel the same way. I don't know that there's really blurred lines. And maybe that's in my head, PTOs for vacations. You go on a vacation, you enjoy your time, and truly you can check out for most of the day anyway. I don't really see that it's affected it as much.
I think PTO is different. So I will agree. I think there's blurred lines with certain people regardless.
Right.
All right. With that, do you think it's appropriate to not take PTO and work while on vacation or in a place where your family's vacationing?
I think it depends, because I have done this. I have gone to my mother's house in Tennessee and visited with her and taken my computer. But I think it really depends. If it's a true vacation, don't work. Enjoy your time off. Enjoy your family. But if it's one of those trips, I'm going out here so you can spend time with my kids, or we have plans in the evening and everybody else is working, then take your laptop and work remote.
I think the short answer is no, for sure. It's a trap. Right? If you're supposed to be in Cabo, don't be on Outlook, under a beach umbrella, or worse. I literally almost bought, I saw it in the TikTok shop. They have those little umbrellas that go over your phone. So you can see, I was like, I am not buying that because I don't want to look at my phone when I'm on the beach, or by a pool. So I think it's tricky. And I think burnout is real. That is not getting the time away that your brain knows.
Right.
Your brain knows.
Yeah.
So I think it's not appropriate.
I'm going to end with this question. What has been your most disastrous vacation you have taken? So unrelated to work.
So I have one that always sticks out in my mind, and it's from a long time ago. It was, I think, the summer of 1999. I know. But I was working for the .com at the time, and I took a week vacation to Montauk, which is on Long Island. It's actually the tip of Long Island. And it's beautiful, and back then it wasn't as overdeveloped as it is now, but it's beautiful. But it rained every single day. And not rained all day, every day, not a single beach day, right? And we did our best to entertain ourselves, but at the same time, again, I worked for this .com, and we were very busy, and I was an HR department of one, and we had a bunch of offers that had to go out. And so this was during the time of dial-up internet. At the hotel, they had dial-up. I'm working on these offer letters, and I'm sending them out. And we're staying in this quaint little, really, I guess, kind of motelish type of place, right? And I worked almost the whole trip, but I didn't have a lot else to do. But what really sucked at the end was I got an $800 phone bill.
Oh, no.
Because it was dial-up. So that was how the bill worked at that time. So, yeah. And then I felt weird submitting it to work because I was like, it was $800.
Oh, no.
So overall, I paid to work on my vacation.
That sounds awful.
Essentially.
I don't know that I have any disastrous vacation stories. I have stupid things I've done. When I was 18, a friend of mine decided we were going to drive from Jacksonville, Florida out to Denver to visit my aunt and my grandma, but we stopped along the way and we slept in a hotel parking lot because we thought that was safer, and we were 18. We couldn't rent a hotel room. We got into a fender bender. We ran out of gas. Like, everything that you can possibly think of happened. It happened on this adventure. But I had the time of my life, and I wouldn't say it was disastrous. It was great memories, and we still talk about it to this day. And we listened to Alanis Morissette the whole entire ride. I could sing the whole entire... I don't even remember the name of the album, but I can sing. Yeah, Jagged Little Pill. I can sing the whole entire album.
That's funny.
For some perspective, $800 in 1999 is now $1,550.
Oh my.
I also lived in the city at the time, so I did not have a lot of disposable income. Like, I was paying so much in rent
Oh
Most
my
of my
gosh.
salary was going towards rent. So it was just at a time in your life when you just don't have as much disposable income and you spend a lot of money to go on a trip. And we made the best of it. We did a spa day. We went to the movies. There was not a lot going on there at the time.
Right.
But to get that bill, I was like, oh my gosh. I felt sick.
Was it when you checked out? Like the...
Yes, that's exactly.
No.
But it was like, is this going to clear on my credit card?
I understand.
All right, so now we move on to Ask HR, where people can go online and ask experts questions and get answers. So this comes from a user that's no longer available, but the title is Losing PTO for Not Being Early Enough. It reads, my girlfriend's been having some tough issues at work lately. She's been with the same company for years, has earned promotions, is a trusted employee with a long waiting list of clients who love her. Honestly, she's great at what she does, and she's super friendly and easy to work with. That's why it's been so surprising. Ever since a new general manager came on board, she's been getting her PTO docked every single day. Here's what's happening. The new manager put in a policy that says if you are not 15 minutes early, you automatically lose 3 hours of PTO. Her scheduled start time has always been 9 a.m., but because of daycare drop-off times, it's literally impossible for her to get there by 8:45. She usually is there around 8:50, but apparently that's not good enough. As a result, she's lost all of her PTO, and she's devastated about this. We've had to cancel planned vacations. It's really taking its toll. And when she tries to raise the issue with management, they just tell her to, quote, figure it out. At this point, she feels targeted. It's unfair and demoralizing. Is there even an option for her other than finding a job? So generally, does she have any recourse beyond just leaving?
Yeah, I think she does. She could file a wage and hour claim for sure. So when I first read this, it seemed like rage bait. Like it just didn't seem real. Do you know what state it was in anymore, or?
Is that Oklahoma?
Oklahoma, yeah.
Okay. Like what I did there.
I know this whole situation seems crazy. Like, how could you dock 3 hours of pay for somebody for not being early? I mean, she's still early. She's on time, more than on time to work, and they're docking PTO. I mean, this is definitely illegal. Look, I am no expert on Oklahoma laws.
Yeah, you're taking their PTO, and we'd have to research Oklahoma laws to see if that's considered wages. I would say definitely look for another job. This is not where you want to work. You can file a wage and hour claim. But if they want you to be there at 8:45, make that your scheduled start time. Your start time is 9 o'clock. You need to be at your desk ready to work by 9 o'clock. And it sounds like she's doing everything that she should. I also think, but this is just me being petty, if you're going to dock me for 3 hours instead of 9 o'clock, I'll be there at noon. And I'm going to enjoy 3 hours of my day.
I bet there's people that are doing that.
You're already going to take it from me, so why not?
Right.
However, that's a little petty and you might get fired.
It's not the same, but we had an attendance policy at the call center that I worked at that was pretty similar. It was like if you were more than 5 minutes late, you got half of an occurrence. This is not my policy. This is an operations policy. I fought it. So what did people do? They'd miss the whole first half of the shift. They didn't. You would think people want to get paid, but they're like, if I'm already going to get, an occurrence, a half of an occurrence, I'm going to just. So it's in the same vein. Yeah. Right. Like same kind of thought process. I don't know. The policy contradicts her actual start time. Yes. So understanding that she can't get there at 8:45 and she probably took this job because it started at 9. Right. But that's really difficult. 5 minutes shouldn't seem like that big of a deal, but it is if you can't get there in time, depending on how far away it is from the daycare, what time daycare will allow you to drop off. There's all sorts of factors. I don't know. To me, PTO is a form of earned compensation in most states, or at least many states. I think she should try at least,
to submit a wage claim.
Right. And then separately, this could also technically kind of be, I'm like, technically kind of, I'm putting all the disclaimers in, but how many other people are parents there? I mean, this could be discrimination as well if she feels like she's being singled out because she has to drop her daughter off at daycare. Right. Right. So I don't know.
I was thinking discrimination too, because if she feels targeted and she's the only one who is having these issues, then maybe it is because she's a woman and has to drop off her children at daycare, which is unfortunate.
I don't know. I would not quit. I would not give in to this. And I would be tracking the time that they keep on taking away from her. I would absolutely document everything. Oh, I would look at the handbook. Does it say in the handbook that she's allowed to do that? Is this woman in violation of the handbook? I would definitely document that. And I would document the handbook that she signed that's active in case any changes are made to it after the fact that she did not sign.
Right.
It doesn't sound like HR exists. She said she went to management, right? She didn't mention HR.
Yeah.
There's no implication that there's HR. Or if there is, that's who she's going to, and they're the one deducting.
That's crazy. I don't know. She has to go to the State Department of Labor or the Wage and Hour Division if they have that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Because what does she have to lose? What is the person's motivations for wanting them to be there 15 minutes early? Are
And docking the total of 3 hours.
Are they getting paid for that 15 minutes early on top of it? I don't know. It seems like it's just to remove people's PTO. It seems like it's targeted so that they don't have to pay out PTO and people can't take any actual time off.
Right.
Right? Because these people are there on time for their scheduled shift, and then she's removing PTO. 3 hours. That seems arbitrary too. Why 3?
Yeah, I agree. Why 3? Take 15 minutes.
I feel bad for this woman. If this is not rage bait, and this is a real story, this is terrible. This is a brand new GM who's probably not going to make it, probably not going to last. I always tell people, corporate America is like Survivor. You got to outplay, outlast, and that's just what you have to do sometimes.
That's all the time we have for today. We want to thank you all for listening. If you've enjoyed your time with us, please subscribe and leave a review. If you have any HR stories or questions to share, message us on Instagram at hr.stew. I'm Holly.
And I'm Regina.
And we'll see you next time on HR Stew.